Hello student, I am your APD ma'am. Today we are going to discuss the topic enzyme. Now if we introduce the enzyme, we can say that enzyme is a proteinaceous structure that has a catalytic power and degree of specificity. Now what do we mean by catalytic power? That means it acts as a catalyst which can control the speed of the reactions, chemical reactions. Now here it's a biochemical reactions, and degree of specificity means each and every enzyme has its own substrate on which it can act. Now enzyme is discovered and isolated by Buchner in 1897. Okay, now there are two types of enzyme. One is endoenzyme and another is exoenzyme. Now endoenzyme means they act inside the cell, whereas exoenzyme acts outside the cell. For example, all the enzymes involved in the Krebs cycle and the glycolysis are the example of endoenzyme, whereas the enzymes of digestive juices and lysozymes are the example of exoenzyme. Okay. Now if we want to see the characteristics of the enzyme, we can say that it's a proteinaceous structure, and usually most of the proteins, globular proteins, are enzymes. Okay. Now next point is the efficiency. Efficiency is actually the rate of production of product from the substrate by an enzyme. Okay. Now it depends upon the active site of the enzyme. Now we will discuss it later. And the next feature is the specificity. Already told, that means each and every enzyme has its own substrate. Now the next point is colloidal. Now they are hydrophilic and they form a hydrosol in the free states, colloidal in nature. Okay. Now reversibility. Now theoretically all the enzymatic reactions are reversible. Okay. Now temperature sensitivity. Now each and every enzyme has its own optimum temperature in which they act. Okay. Now the next point is the chain of reactions. Now it's a team of enzymes that work together in multiple steps. Okay. Now if we see the chemical structure of the enzyme, you can see that there are two types of enzyme depending upon their chemical nature. The first one is the simple enzyme and the second one is the conjugate enzyme. Now simple enzyme is only made up with the protein part. Okay. Now conjugate enzyme made up with the protein and the non-protein part, and that's why it is known as the holoenzyme. Okay. Now in case of simple enzyme, the active site. Now active site is actually the specific site of the enzyme that binds with the substrate. Okay. Now in case of simple enzyme, the active site is made up with only the amino acids, whereas in case of conjugate enzyme, it's made up with both the protein and the non-protein part. Okay. Now the examples of the simple enzyme is pepsin and trypsin, whereas the conjugate enzyme can be divided into two parts. One is cofactor and another is apoenzyme. Now apoenzyme is the protein part, whereas the cofactor is the non-protein part. Now non-protein part may be separatable and organic in nature, and this form is known as the coenzyme, whereas the non-protein part which firmly attached with the protein part and most of the cases it's inorganic in nature, they are the prosthetic group. Okay. Now coenzyme examples are NADP plus, whereas prosthetic group is the Fe plus, K plus, Mg2 plus. Okay. Now this is overall the chemical structure of the enzyme. Now let's have a look on the active site. Now enzymes are the globular protein, and there is a specific site which is compatible with the structure of the substrate. Now this site is known as the active site. Now active site consists of few amino acids, and these amino acids aggregate together and form the active site. Now in that case, the trypsin, aspartic acid, glutamic acid and alanine, these 4 amino acids are important for making the active site. Okay. Now each and every enzyme has one or more than one active site. Okay. Now the mechanism of enzyme action. Now all of you know that enzyme is the biocatalyst, and catalyst, the main function of the catalyst is it's control the rate of the chemical reactions. Okay. Now here also enzyme also control the rate of the chemical reactions, but how? Now here see the animation. Okay. Now at the left hand side, in this case we want to change the side of the frog from the left hand side to the right hand side. Now if we consider the left hand side as a reactants and the right hand side as a product, now see here in the normal case, this barrier is actually the energy barrier, and if we want to produce the product, then we have to overcome the energy barriers. That means reactant should overcome the energy barrier to convert into the product. Now in case of normal reactions, the energy barrier is very high, and that's why the rate of the reaction is very slow. Whereas in case of the reaction where the enzyme is involved, now see the difference. Here the energy barrier is very high, and here it becomes lower. That means enzyme decreases the activation energy of the reactants, so that the reactions can easily converted into the products, and that's why the rate of the reactions become faster, and in this way the enzyme is involved in the biochemical reactions. Okay. Now see the graph. In that case, see the graph. Here the red graph, this one, this is the graph or the activation energy where the enzyme is absent. That means here the activation energy is high, and in case of second one where the enzyme is present, here the activation energy is lower, and thus the production of the product is faster. Okay. Now see here also. Now this is the mechanism of enzyme actions according to Michaelis and Menten. Now see here, if we see the enzyme action is a diphasic reactions. Why diphasic? Because at one phase the enzyme substrate complex is formed, and then the product and the free energy is formed. Okay. Now according to mass action reactions or mass action law, if we solve the equation, we can get the V by V max is equal to through the substrate concentration divided by Km plus substrate concentration. Now V is equal to the velocity of the enzyme reactions, and V max is actually the maximum velocity of the reactions. Now at the maximum velocity, when enzyme actions reach its maximum velocity, now when all the free enzymes become saturated with the substrate. Okay, now S depicts the substrate concentration, and Km, it's a very important, Km is the Michaelis-Menten constant. Okay, now see the graph. Here the velocity, the last reaction, that means velocity is equals to V max into substrate concentration divided by Km plus substrate concentration, and this equation is known as the Michaelis-Menten equation. Now if we plot the graph having the substrate concentration on the x-axis and velocity as the y-axis, then we can get a S-shaped curve, and the upper limit is actually the V max. That means when all the enzymes are saturated by the substrate. Okay. Now at the half of the V max, when the enzyme reactions reach the half velocity of the maximum velocity at a specific substrate concentration, and this substrate concentration is known as the Km. Okay, that means Michaelis-Menten constant is actually the specific substrate concentration at which the enzyme reactions reaches its half of the maximum velocity. Okay. Now there are two models regarding the enzyme substrate complex formation. Okay. The first one is the lock and key hypothesis. Now here the lock is the enzyme and key are the substrate. Now here also the substrate and enzyme are bind to each other because they are structurally compatible, and after that they form the enzyme substrate complex, and after that the substrate becomes the product and enzyme again becomes free. Okay, now this is according to the lock and key hypothesis, where it states that the structure of the active site is compatible with the structure of the substrate from the beginning of the reactions. Okay, but in case of induced fit model, it states that in a enzyme substrate reactions, when the substrate come closer to the enzyme it interacts with the enzyme, the structure of the active site is changed and it's become activated or compatible with the substrate, and after that the enzyme binds with the substrate and form the enzyme substrate complex, and after that the enzyme substrate complex becomes or converted into the product and the free enzyme. That means the main difference between the lock and key model and the induced fit model is that the induced fit model states that the active site structure is changed when it come in contact with the substrate. But in case of lock and key model, it states that if there is no substrate, though the active site becomes in its active form. Okay, now this is the basic difference. Now there are several factors that affect the enzyme activity. First one is the temperature, then the water, then the pH, then the substrate concentration, then enzyme concentration, inhibitor, end product, activator and the radiation. Now we will talk about the temperature, pH, substrate concentration and the inhibitor. Okay, let's start our discussion with the temperature. Now as you see the graph, it's a bell shaped graph where at the maximum point, at this point, at this temperature, it's about 35 or 36. At this temperature, the enzyme reaction is its maximum level, and if we deviate from the optimum temperature, then we can see that the enzyme activity is depleted. But why? Because if we increase or decrease the optimum temperature, it's affect the structure of the enzyme, and as you know, it's a protein. Now if we change the temperature, it's affect its structure, its conformation. Okay, and that's why the enzyme action is depleting. Okay, now the optimum temperature is about 37 degrees centigrade in case of human. Now in case of pH, we also see the bell shaped curve, and as similar with the temperature, at the optimum pH it's about 7 or 7.2, it gives its maximum velocity. But each and every enzyme has its specific pH. Some of the enzyme acts or show its maximum level of activity at the acidic pH, or some in the basic pH, or some in the neutral pH. It depends. Okay. Now if we deviate the optimum pH, then it's also affect the enzyme activity, because it's affect the structure of the enzyme. Okay. Now the next one is the substrate concentration. As you see, it's a S-shaped curve, and when we increase the substrate concentration, the velocity is gradually increasing, but up to a certain level. Okay, and after that, when all the free enzymes are occupied by the substrate, now if we increase the substrate concentration, there is no change, and that's why that particular particular substrate concentration or particular state where all the enzymes are occupied by the substrate, that is the maximum velocity. Okay. Now at the beginning of the reactions, the enzyme activity is increases, because here the if we compare the number of the substrate and the enzyme, then we can see that the number of the free enzymes is higher than the substrate, and that's why the enzyme activity is increasing. But with time, the saturation is gradually increase, and that's why the activity is gradually decreasing. Okay. Now the next factor is the inhibitor. Now there are some specific chemicals or the substrate that inhibit the enzyme activity, and these chemical substances are known as the inhibitor. Now inhibitor inhibit the enzyme activity in two ways. First one is the competitive inhibition, and the next one is the non-competitive inhibition. Now in case of competitive inhibition, the inhibitor mimic the structure of the substrate, and that's why there is a competition for binding with the active site between the substrate and the inhibitor. And whereas in case of non-competitive inhibition, the inhibitor binds with the enzyme another site, leaving the active site. So there is no competition between the substrate and the inhibitor. Okay. Now let's see inhibition of the enzyme action. There are three types: competitive, uncompetitive and non-competitive. Now as you see the competitive inhibition, here see here the enzyme and substrate form the enzyme substrate and then it makes the enzyme and the product. Now in case of inhibitor binds with the enzyme and that's why it is formed the enzyme inhibitor complex instead of enzyme substrate complex, and that's why we could not get any product. Okay, and in case of uncompetitive inhibition, the inhibitor binds with the enzyme substrate complex, okay, and form the enzyme substrate inhibitor complex. So this step, production of free energy and the product is stopped. Okay, and in case of non-competitive or mixed inhibition, this inhibitor actually acts on the enzyme as well as at the enzyme substrate complex, and it's formed the enzyme inhibitor complex and also enzyme substrate inhibitor complex, and there is no chance of production of free enzyme and the products. Now this is all about the inhibition and their way of working. Okay, now if we plot in a graph, then we can see that in case of normal enzyme, this is the Vmax and this is the Vmax by 2, that means this is the Km. Okay, now in case of competitive inhibitor, see here the Vmax is same but the Km is actually increasing. Okay, and non-competitive inhibitor, the both Vmax is decreasing. Okay, in this way the competitive and non-competitive inhibitors act. Now another inhibition is the allosteric substances, and each and every enzyme has a active site and also a allosteric site where the allosteric substances can bind. Okay, now if the allosteric site is occupied by the inhibitor, then the reaction is stopped, and if it is occupied by the activator, then the reaction is accelerated. Now the first case is known as the allosteric inhibition and the second case is known as the allosteric activation. Okay, now the next topic is the feedback inhibition. Now see here, it's a chain of reactions. Okay, now here the enzyme 1 come in contact with the substrate and form the enzyme substrate complex and produce the product A. Now this product is actually the substrate of the enzyme 2. Now here also the enzyme 2 binds with the substrate and form the product B, which is also the substrate of enzyme 3. And after binding with the enzyme 3, it's formed the final substances or the product. Now this product actually binds with the allosteric site and inhibit the whole pathway, and this is known as the feedback inhibition. Okay, now this is all about the enzyme and its way of working, its factor that control the enzyme actions. I hope all of you understand, and if there is any problem, please contact me. Thank you.